Well, Stephen, you'll remember yesterday the situation was much more different from what we're seeing this afternoon. Some of the hawkers have been able, in fact, most of the hawkers have been able to go back to work and start, of course, trading. Today, if you see behind me, we're in the afternoon, the time when most of the learners, as well as those who are traveling back from work to home, are making their way and are going to be traveling. You'll remember Pan Africa Mall is right on my left, and there's usually a lot of activity in that particular mall. And if you look behind me, it's starting to pick up, which gives you an indication that a lot of people will be walking past where we're standing right now. We're on the side of the road, Stephen, and with the people that you're seeing on your screen right now are also members of the JMPD as well as the SAPS members who have been quite critical today in restoring calm here in Alexandra, together with the taxi associations who have been on the ground to make sure that everything, calm is restored in this particular area. There was a small group that gathered right at the bottom of this particular street, but it was nothing really big and major. So far, we do know that the police have arrested someone for being in possession of a fake firearm, and that person, we know, will be charged. But as things stand right now, Stephen, there hasn't been much really activity around the disruptions, and it seems from where I'm standing, I'm just going to ask my colleague Kevin to show you on my right what is happening on that particular end of the street. You see the hawkers who usually on by the walkway where commuters and patrons would be walking are settled. It seems they're quite settled, perhaps, and this could be owing to the presence of the police. The shops that you saw being closed yesterday by members of the Dudula group also opening and operating as per usual. There isn't a sense, Stephen, I might add, of anxiety from where I'm standing around what could potentially happen, but we know that this wasn't the case yesterday.
It also shows us again how important it is to have a big police presence there. You have a massive van like you do now just behind you. It does send a signal, doesn't it?
Indeed, Stephen, and you'll remember that when the clashes began yesterday, there were a lot of reports around how police took time to respond to what was happening here on the ground. And immediately in the evenings, I got here in the evenings taking over from my colleague Ahmed Kaji, and what we were seeing in the evening was a high police presence, and from that you could see the level of calm in the streets. We drove in the streets of Alexandra going into the community to get a sense of what was happening there. There were a couple of burning tires on the ground, which really also spoke to what had been happening. But as soon as that was happening, we also saw members of the SAPS coming out with their rubber bullets and making sure that the crowds dispersed. So their presence here certainly did have an impact, although there has been much criticism around the time they spent not responding to what had been happening on the ground.
Mnisi for that live report. Thanks very much indeed, on station, of course, in Alexandra.